My sister's new boyfriend mocked my useless startup at dinner. Turns out I was the founder of the company he tried to buy. I don't know when I learned to make myself quiet. Maybe around age 8, when Mom started hosting little salons in our living room. Charcuterie, clinking glasses, neighbors praising Lina's piano while I was told I think too loud for the camera. She meant it kindly. She means most things kindly. That's the problem. I'm 26, a software dev by day, ghost by dinner. In our family, honesty is a costume you wear if it photographs well. Reputation is the real religion. We tithe in smiles and curated captions, and Mom is our high priest. Lina, 2 years older, was born canonized. My perfect girl. Mom breathes, like it's both nickname and spell. I'm my creative one, which in our house translates to, don't embarrass us with the truth. So I built NovaMind at night. A predictive engine, small enough to run on a phone, clever enough to map human routines without being creepy. I told exactly 2 people, my landlord, because I needed a second router, and Mira, my ex-something, friend now, who once looked at my whiteboard and said, "You're allowed to take up space, you know." I didn't tell my family. If I said startup, Mom would hear phase, Lina would hear pity, and Dad, well, Dad would adjust the thermostat. The week everything started, Mom texted the family chat. MOM, dinner Friday. We're nice. Magazine guy might stop by for a neighborhood feature, smiling face with smiling eyes. Lina, yes. Marco can finally meet you all, sparkling heart. Me, who's Marco? MOM, finance professional. Charming. Dad, 7 o'clock. I was debugging a scheduling bug when my doorbell rang. It was Mom. In pearls. At 10 a.m. On a Tuesday. Stand by your plants, she said, sweeping in. I'm testing lighting for Friday. Be natural. I'm working. Work natural. She lifted my curtains like a stagehand and spotted the whiteboard I forgot to cover. NovaMind's graph, my entire brain mapped in colored arrows. What's this? A smile that showed too many teeth. A hobby, I lied. Good. Hobbies are charming. Ambition is intense. She kissed my cheek like a post-it. Don't bring intensity on Friday. Lina's bringing Marco. Think supportive. Of what? Of them. She practiced her hostess laugh into my microwave reflection and left with one of my succulents for texture. Unexpected event number 1 hit that afternoon. A delivery guy with cake. 3 tiers, buttercream, tiny sugar violins. For Lina. Wrong address. Definitely, I said, but my phone buzzed. Lina's Insta story. Practice cake. Manifesting perfection sparkles. She'd sent it to my place because Mom's fridge is too crowded with crudité. I balanced a wedding-level cake in my fridge between leftovers and a stack of raspberry peace and tried not to think too hard about symbolism. Unexpected event number 2. I caught Dad on my GitHub. He doesn't code. His passwords are written on masking tape, for God's sake. But there he was, a new follower with his full name and the default egg avatar. I called. Why are you stalking my repos? Stalking? I'm supporting, he said. Also, Alex, maybe privatize. Employers get nervous if they see messy. It's a fork of a kernel. Messy, he repeated, as if renaming it fixed it. That night, Mira dropped by with takeout and a grin. Guess who I matched with for approximately 4 minutes before I hit nope? A Marco who opens with, finance is the art of conviction. Oh God. He also wrote, I can always spot a real founder. She squinted past me into the kitchen. Why is there a ball gown of cake in your fridge? Reputation rehearsal. She leaned against the counter. Promise me something. If he breathes wrong at dinner, you won't do the thing. What thing? The vanish. Where you fold yourself up like origami to make room for everyone's ego. I laughed. When have I ever? She raised an eyebrow. I shut up. On Friday, as I was leaving for the dinner, unexpected event number 3 arrived. A manila envelope wedged under my door. No return address. Inside, a glossy print of a logo I drew at 3 a.m. months ago, NovaMind, mocked up on a pitch deck I'd never made. Below it, a sticky note. They'll talk. Decide who you are before they do. I texted Mira. Is this from you? Mira, nope. But I like them already. See you after? I'll have ice cream and debrief goggles. Family is everything, Mom always says. On my way out, I looked at the cake-less fridge, the whiteboard covered now with a throw blanket, the envelope on my table like a dare. In our house, everything is family, as long as it's flattering. I put the envelope in my jacket pocket. Maybe I'm done being flattering. At the restaurant, the host said, "Turner party," and his eyes flicked to my shoes like they were a security question. Mom waved from a corner booth under a chandelier that looked like it wanted to be a Swarovski octopus. Beside her sat Lina, perfect posture, perfect hair, and Marco, tan, watch too big, smile like a sales funnel. "Alex," Mom trilled, "you wore the jacket I bought you. Doesn't he clean up nice, Marco?" Marco shook my hand, palm dry and performative. "So you're the coder. Heard you're between big ideas." Finger quotes. First sentence. I felt the envelope against my ribs like a heartbeat. "Something like that," I said, and took my seat. "Be natural," Mom whispered, still smiling. "Work natural," I murmured back. Lina laughed like a bell. Marco looked at me like a problem to optimize. Outside, rain started, soft at first, then louder, like applause for a show that hadn't begun. "Tell us about you, Alex," Marco said, tilting his glass so the chandelier flashed on his watch. "What do you actually do?" I opened my mouth. For once, I didn't fold. "I build things," I said. "Some of them even matter." "Cute," Marco replied. "To who?" I felt the envelope again. I didn't know it yet, but it was going to answer him for me. The first weird thing was the menu. The restaurant had a dish called Nova Gnocchi, and Lina squealed, "Oh my God, like space." While Marco murmured, "Trendy naming. Good for margins." I stared at the word Nova until the letters crawled. Coincidence? Had to be. "Tell Marco about your projects," Mom prompted, arranging her scarf like it was being interviewed. "Alex is very creative," Lina added. "The way you describe a preschooler who eats glue in abstract patterns." "I build predictive systems," I said, steady. Marco's smile kinked. "Predictive? Like the horoscope for spreadsheets." The table laughed. Mine was the only mouth that didn't move. I tried again. "Pattern recognition. Behavior modeling. Useful for logistics, health. Useful for making people nervous." Mom cut in, patting my hand. "You know how Alex is. He has such intense hobbies." "Intensity is a tax you pay to the wrong god," Marco said, sipping his wine like a TED Talk. "I always tell my analysts, keep it simple, keep it sellable." Unexpected event number 4. The neighborhood magazine guy actually showed up. A thin photographer with a messenger bag and hair like a dandelion. "Mrs. Turner? Quick candid for our families of Harbor Row peace." Mom practically levitated. She scooted us closer, and Marco leaned in, arm casually behind Lina's chair like he owned the air. "Great," the photographer chirped. "Let's get one of the whole clan." "I'm not," I started. "Of course he is," Mom said brightly, yanking me into frame by my jacket. "Family is everything." The flash popped. For a second, the envelope in my pocket felt like it burned through the fabric. "Perfect," the photographer said. "Tell me your professions." "Finance professional." "And?" "Pianist / Lina began. "Founder," I heard someone say. It was my mouth. It startled even me. "I build things," I corrected, heat rising. "Software." Marco chuckled. "Cute. You mean coding?" The photographer smiled awkwardly and backed away. "I'll email proofs." Unexpected event number 5. My phone buzzed with a number I didn't know. A text preview lit up. "Marco, we pushed the deck Monday. Acquisition price locked as long as he stays quiet." Then, a second text. "Oops, wrong Alex," followed by haha and a thumbs up emoji. I looked up so fast my vision rang. "You okay?" Lina asked. "Fine," I said, and slipped my phone under the table. I didn't open the thread. Not yet. A tightness snapped into place behind my ribs, like a belt yanked a notch too far. Marco asked the waiter for a real bottle and pronounced the first one thin. He turned back to me. "So, you're still at that little company? Or freelancing, between inspirations?" He gestured with his fork the way some people gesture with knives. "I'm good," I said. "Alex has always been delicate," Mom cooed. "He feels things. Like your aunt with the barometer knee." "I feel condescension," I said, too lightly to be safely funny. Marco leaned in, eyes bright with the scent of sport. "You know what I love about tech? Anyone can claim to be a genius. No regulation for delusion." He laughed. "In finance, numbers tell on you." "Numbers tell on everyone," I said. "You just have nicer fonts." Lina kicked my ankle under the table. "Play nice." Unexpected event number 6. The waiter recognized me. Not personally, My laptop sticker. Hey, you use Kanji Sync? My brother loves their API, he whispered as he set down bread. I blinked. Kanji Sync, one of the 5 services NovaMind scraped for public time series data. He winked and was gone, but it felt like the room had quietly voted in my favor and then hid the ballots. The mocking kept coming in soft little knives. Marco, do you make games? Mom, he used to. Remember when you tried to monetize that thing? Lina, it was adorable. Dad, pass the salt. The chandelier hummed, 1,000 tiny insects. I tried to shrink my pulse. I tried to remember Myra's voice. Don't do the vanish. But the table was a centrifuge, and I was sliding toward the center where everything heavy lands. Marco's laugh sharpened. You know what we're buying next? He said to the table, like a magician announcing a card. A predictive analytics startup. Real one. Not a hobbyist project. They've got a sexy name, too. Something like, he snapped. Nova something. Lina clapped. Ooh, space. Mom leaned forward, jewel-toned. That's glamorous, dear. My heart thudded so hard the water in my glass trembled. I breathed once. Twice. The envelope in my pocket rustled like a whispered dare. NovaMind, Marco said, triumphant. Yeah, that. Their founder's anonymous. Probably a phantom team. Doesn't matter. We'll roll it in, slap our logo, it'll be. Enough, I said, and my voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded vertical. The table stilled. Even Dad looked up from the salt. Marco smirked. Touched a nerve? Alex, Mom warned. Don't be dramatic. You all want simple? I said, palms flat on the white tablecloth. Here's simple. I'm done being the joke, so you can call it love. There was a tiny silence, the kind big ships make before they turn. The waiter arrived with a flaming creme brulee for someone else, the flames reflected in Lina's eyes. Unexpected event number 7. Outside, the rain knocked out the power. The chandelier went dark. For a breath, the restaurant existed in candlelight and the glow of screens. Everyone's faces lit up the way truth lights them. Sidelit, uneven, human. In that slice of darkness, I felt something uncoil. Years of being my creative one, easing, like a knot finally given permission to loosen. My phone vibrated again. The unknown number. We'll talk Monday. Don't mess this up. And then, wrong Alex again, LOL. I looked at Marco's watch glittering in the dim. He lifted his glass like a crown. See? He said cheerfully. Even the lights can't handle his intensity. They laughed. I didn't. Mom tooted. Sweetheart, please. People are watching. They always are, I said. That's the point, isn't it? Another flash went off. Someone's birthday cake. It felt like a warning shot. I pressed my hand against the envelope in my pocket, feeling the edges of the print inside. The proof I'd been carrying around like a secret spine. Marco raised his voice just enough to ensure neighboring tables could hear. You want to build things, kid? Build a tolerance. In this world, thin-skinned men end up writing code for the ones who win. It didn't strike. It echoed, pinging off every time I'd swallowed humiliation and called it maturity. Off every group photo where I'd stepped 2 inches left so Lina would land center. Off every be natural that meant be smaller. Something inside me finally said no. I didn't stand up. Not yet. But I sat forward, straight-backed, and let the silence land where it would. The mockery had done its job. It had dragged every quiet memory into the light. I was done folding. Marco, I said, calm. Tell me more about that acquisition. Marco's grin twitched, just a hair. What? You suddenly care about business, Alex. Sure, I said, keeping my tone even. You said your firm's acquiring NovaMind? Predictive analytics, anonymous founder, all that? He smirked, clearly enjoying the audience. Yeah, it's a solid pickup. We've got our analysts vetting it. Easy money once we bring it under our umbrella. Your firm, I repeated. Which one is that again? Strauss and Bell Capital, he said proudly. We specialize in innovation investments. I actually got early access to their private data. Confidential, of course. The word confidential buzzed in my head like static. He was lying through his veneers. I could feel it. But I didn't move too fast. I wanted him to keep digging. Must be exciting, I said. To work with something like that. NovaMind's architecture must have impressed them. Marco laughed. Architecture? Buddy, half these tech geniuses just slap AI in a sentence and pray for funding. Some nerd cooked it up in a basement, guaranteed. Lina laughed softly, almost automatically, But she was watching me now. Something in my voice had changed. Interesting theory, I said, reaching into my jacket. The envelope crackled as I laid it gently on the table. Because the nerd who cooked it up in a basement was me. For a moment, no one spoke. You could hear forks hitting plates 3 tables away. Marco blinked. What? I'm the founder, I said. Calm. Measured. I built NovaMind from scratch. Here. I slid my phone across the table, opened to the verification dashboard, the ownership registry, the patent filings under my name. Proof. Mom's smile fell like it had tripped over itself. Alex, stop being silly. I'm not. Marco's face drained. No, that can't. He leaned over my phone, scrolling too fast. His fake confidence cracked around the edges. You're lying. Check the timestamp, I said. 3 years of code commits. All mine. You were about to buy my company. Dad finally looked interested, like he'd stumbled into the wrong movie but was starting to enjoy it. You're saying you own it? I built it, I corrected. I've been working on it since before Marco had that watch. Alex, Mom hissed under her breath. This isn't appropriate. You're ruining dinner. No, Mom, I said quietly. He ruined dinner when he made me the joke. Lina's face was pale. Marco, he stammered. This must be a mix-up. The team said the founder was anonymous. I stayed anonymous because of people like you, I said. People who think silence means weakness. The restaurant seemed to lean in. Even the waiter froze mid-step. Marco's jaw clenched. You think you're some kind of genius? No, I said. I think I'm someone who stopped letting other people speak for him. Unexpected event number 8. My phone pinged again, this time from NovaMind's legal inbox. Subject, offer confirmation. I opened it. The sale to a global firm, not Strauss & Bell, had finalized that afternoon. The transfer had gone through. I was officially free. I looked up at Marco. Actually, I said, it's already been sold. His expression curdled. To who? Not your company. Lina's voice trembled. Marco, what's he talking about? He stood up, voice sharp now. You played us. You probably leaked it. This is... Sit down, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it had a gravity that pulled the words still. You tried to mock me for building something real. And now you've just bragged about buying a company your firm doesn't even have access to. Mom pressed her napkin against her lips. Alex, please, people are watching. They always were, I said. Maybe now they'll see. Marco's phone buzzed. He glanced down, and I caught the brief flash of a text. Urgent, call me. Deal compromised. His eyes shot up, wild. You cost me my... Dinner's over, I said, standing. Alex, Mom hissed. You're making a scene. No, Mom. For once, I'm in the scene. The words left my mouth like a release valve snapping open. I gathered my phone, tucked the envelope under my arm, and stepped back. The table was frozen in tableau. Mom clutching pearls, Lina blinking like she'd been slapped by reality, Marco half rising, half shrinking, and Dad looking quietly impressed. As I turned to leave, Marco muttered, You'll regret this. I paused by his chair. I regret pretending I was less just so you'd feel more. Then I walked out. Unexpected event number 9. The photographer was still near the entrance, reviewing shots. He looked up, startled. Everything okay? Perfect, I said. That's the photo you'll want to use. When the door shut behind me, the rain had stopped. Streetlights reflected in the puddles like small galaxies. I stood there, breathing in the cold air that smelled like something ending and something beginning. That night, I didn't go home. I drove until the city shrank in the rearview mirror, my phone lighting up with missed calls. Mom, Lina, then silence. The last text I got was from Mira. Heard you did it. About time. And for the first time in years, I slept like someone who didn't need to apologize for taking up space. No one called the next day, or the day after. The family group chat went dead, not even Mom's usual morning quote about gratitude and grace. It was like I'd been quietly edited out of their story. I expected anger, maybe even confrontation. Instead, I got silence. Heavy, polite silence. The kind that says we're pretending this didn't happen. NovaMind sale finalized that Friday. My lawyer congratulated me over Zoom, all smiles and numbers. You did it, Alex, he said. You're officially a millionaire. I nodded, but it didn't land. I'd spent years dreaming of that line, of proving them wrong, of walking in with receipts. But now, it just felt like static. So I packed a duffel bag, rented a cabin by the sea 2 hours north, and disappeared. No Wi-Fi, no meetings, just wind, gulls, and the kind of quiet that doesn't demand performance. Days bled together, slow coffee, long walks, paperback novels I'd never had time for. I cooked with real butter. I built a fire that kept going on the second try. I even started sketching again, something I hadn't done since high school before Mom told me art was a lovely hobby, but unmarketable. At night, I'd sit on the porch and watch the tide roll in. The sound reminded me of code compiling, endless, rhythmic, patient. Sometimes, I'd replay that dinner in my mind. The look on Marco's face, Lina's silence, Mom's frozen smile. And every time, the anger softened a little. Underneath it, I found something else, grief. For the years I'd wasted trying to be small enough to fit their version of me. One morning, I woke up before sunrise and walked down to the water. My reflection wavered on the surface, tired, but finally honest. For the first time, I didn't think about what they'd say if they saw me. I didn't need them to. I whispered it to the sea, just to hear it out loud. I don't need them to see me. I see me. And somehow that was enough. When I finally came back to the city, it felt smaller. My apartment looked staged, all clean lines and nothing personal, like I'd been living in a showroom instead of a life. I made coffee, opened a week's worth of mail, and found it, an ivory envelope with gold lettering. Lina and Marco, together forever. Inside was the wedding invitation, and a handwritten note from Mom. Family is everything, Alex. Let's put the past behind us. I stared at it for a long time. Family is everything. Not truth, not love, not forgiveness, just image. I almost threw it out, but then something in me hesitated. I kept thinking about Marco's text that night at dinner. Acquisition price locked as long as he stays quiet. There was something else there, something unfinished. So I didn't toss the invite. I set it beside my laptop, opened a new folder, and typed, Project, Closure. The first person I called was Mira. She answered on the second ring. So, the prodigal genius returns. I got an invitation, I said. I'm guessing not to a hackathon. Wedding. Lina and Marco. She whistled. You going? Yeah, I said. But not to celebrate. There was a pause. You're planning something. Something's off about Marco, I said. He was too desperate about that deal. I want to know why. I'm in, she said immediately. Send me whatever you've got. Over the next week, we worked quietly, tracing Marco's digital footprint, checking his firm's filings, following whispers in tech forums. And then we found it. Shell companies, fake ICOs, cryptocurrency wallets funneling through offshore accounts. Marco wasn't just arrogant. He was running a scam, laundering money through fake startups. Mira looked up from her screen, grinning. Looks like your sister's fiancé is about to have the worst wedding day ever. I smiled back, but it wasn't vengeful. It was calm. Not ever, I said. Just honest. I slipped the invitation into my jacket pocket. Time to return the favor. The wedding was everything my mother ever dreamed of. Marble floors, champagne towers, a string quartet playing Coldplay, as if to make it classy. The venue smelled like roses and old money. I showed up with Mira on my arm, both of us dressed like calm storms. Mom's eyes widened when she saw me. You came, she said, tight smile, pearls gleaming like small teeth. You invited me, I said. Lina floated over, radiant and nervous. Alex, I didn't think. Well, I'm glad you're here. Congratulations, I said, and meant it in a quiet way. I hope today's everything you wanted. Marco appeared behind her, immaculate in his tailored suit, smile just shy of smug. If it isn't the boy genius. Here to give a toast? Something like that, I said. Mira squeezed my hand. We'd spent nights preparing, verifying every file, every receipt. Her plan was simple. Wait until everyone was comfortable, then detonate the truth. The ceremony passed in a blur, vows, applause, camera flashes. When they kissed, I caught Mom dabbing her eyes like the world had finally been set right again. But during the reception, as champagne flowed and guests danced under chandeliers, Mira nodded at me. It was time. I walked to the stage, calm. Excuse me, I said into the microphone. I'd like to say a few words for the happy couple. Lina smiled nervously. Marco smirked. I connected my phone to the projector behind me. A document appeared, spreadsheets, screenshots, and email threads. This, I said evenly, is Marco's other business. a network of fake companies used to run a crypto scam through Strauss and Bell Capital. The crowd went silent. Someone gasped. Marco laughed, brittle. This is ridiculous. Really? Myra's voice cut through as she stepped forward. Because here's a voice note from your analyst confirming it. The recording played. Marco's got the wallets hidden in Luxembourg. Don't let the investors find out. Lina's bouquet slipped from her hand. Mom whispered, Alex, stop this. I am, I said quietly. I'm stopping the lie. Marco's face drained. He tried to grab the mic, but security moved fast. Someone had already called the police. And just like that, the music died, the illusion cracked, and the truth finally had the floor. The next morning, the story was everywhere. Finance Pro exposed in wedding day crypto scandal. Clips from the reception hit social media. Marco's shouting, the stunned silence. Me standing there, calm as a held breath. I didn't enjoy it. Not really. Watching someone's life collapse isn't satisfying, even when they earned it. But there was peace in knowing the truth wasn't hiding anymore. Within days, Marco was under investigation. Lina filed for annulment the same week. She didn't call me, but I heard through Mira that she moved into a friend's apartment and quit social media altogether. I didn't blame her. She'd built her identity around perfection, just like Mom. Losing that must have felt like drowning. Mom sent a single envelope to my door, a blank card. No apology, no note. Just silence, her favorite weapon. Mira looked at it and said, guess she's still editing reality. Yeah, I said, placing it on my desk. But I'm not in her version anymore. Unexpected event number 10 came a week later. Lina texted me. I should have defended you. I'm sorry. I didn't see him for what he was. Maybe I didn't see you either. I wrote back. We both learned. That's enough. Then I shut my laptop, stepped outside, and let the city breathe around me. Mira joined me for coffee that evening, laughing when I ordered something absurdly expensive. New chapter? She asked. New book, I said. She raised her cup. To truth. To peace, I answered. I walked home through warm street light, realizing something simple but solid. I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't need them to change or to notice. I'd done the thing they never could. I'd stopped performing. Sometimes silence isn't defeat. It's freedom. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't small. I was just me. Honest, whole, and finally unafraid of being seen. Freedom was strange at first. I woke up one morning and realized there was no one left to impress. No expectations waiting like alarms. Just me, my coffee, and the city humming outside. I took long walks again, headphones off, just listening. I stopped checking NovaMind's numbers every hour. The sale money sat untouched in my account, and for once, it didn't define me. I'd spent years thinking success would fix what my family broke, but peace came from subtraction, not addition. One afternoon, I met Lina at a quiet cafe near the pier. She looked smaller, softer, no perfect hair, no curated outfit, just tired honesty. I didn't know what to say before, she started, stirring her tea. I thought Marco loved me. I thought you were just jealous. I was angry, I admitted. But not at you. I was angry that Mom's version of us made it impossible to be real. She nodded, eyes glassy. She's pretending it never happened. She keeps saying Marco was misunderstood. That sounds like her, I said. Reputation over reality. We sat in silence for a moment, the sound of waves carrying through the open window. Then Lina said softly, you know, you didn't just ruin her perfect image. You freed me from it too. Unexpected event number 11. A couple walked by wearing NovaMind hoodies, the new owner's rebrand. Lina noticed them and smiled. That's yours. It was, I said. Now it's theirs. And that's okay. She reached across the table. I'm proud of you, Alex. It was such a simple thing, but it hit harder than any public recognition ever could. After she left, I texted Mira, dinner tonight? I think I'm finally ready to talk about the future. She replied instantly. Only if dessert's on you, millionaire. And for the first time in a long, long while, I laughed, not from relief, not from irony, but because life finally felt like it belonged to me. A few months passed quietly. I started consulting for smaller startups, the kind run by dreamers, not sharks. It felt good to help people build something real, without the suits and the fake smiles. Mira and I fell into an easy rhythm again. She dropped by unannounced with takeout, scroll through my messy notes, and tease me about my Zen phase. Sometimes we'd just sit on the balcony, watching the skyline turn gold at sunset. She once said, "You finally look like yourself." And I didn't realize until that moment how much I'd missed being seen. Unexpected event number 12 happened in early spring. A journalist reached out, asking if I'd give an interview about NovaMind, the anonymous genius who took on Wall Street and won. Old me would have said yes, would have practiced the perfect quote for Mom to frame in her scrapbook of other people's accomplishments. But instead, I wrote back, "Thanks, but I'm done proving anything." Mira read the email and grinned. "That's your headline right there." Then came a message from Lina, a photo of her new apartment, paint-streaked walls, sunlight on her hands, and a caption that said, "Starting over." She'd started teaching piano again, volunteering at a community center. She even invited me to a small recital. I went, quietly proud. Mom didn't attend. She was busy rebuilding connections, whatever that meant. But when Lina finished her last piece, the applause felt like something healing, like a spell broken. Afterward, I walked her home. She said, "I used to think family was about loyalty. Now I think it's about truth." "Then we finally have one," I said. That night, I went home, wrote the words "begin again" on my whiteboard, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not peace, not victory, but belonging. To my own life. Summer came with that gentle warmth that makes everything feel possible again. I'd started spending my mornings at a tiny co-working space by the marina, locals, freelancers, startup kids with too much caffeine and too many dreams. Nobody there knew who I was, and that anonymity felt like grace. Mira joined sometimes, setting up beside me with her sketchpad. "You ever notice," she said one morning, "you smile when you're typing now?" I did, because the work wasn't about survival anymore. It was about curiosity. Unexpected event number 13 came in July, a handwritten letter from Mom. For a second, my pulse kicked like muscle memory. But when I opened it, it wasn't what I expected. "I don't know how to talk to you anymore," she wrote. "But I'm trying to understand. Lina told me what you did for her. Maybe I built a world too small for the both of you. Maybe I was afraid you'd outgrow it." No apology, exactly, but it was something real. A start. I met her for coffee the following week. She looked older, quieter. "You look happy," she said. "I am," I answered, and it didn't feel like defiance, just truth. We talked, awkward at first, but honest. She even asked about NovaMind. When I told her I'd sold it, she blinked. "And now?" "Now," I said, smiling, "I build things that don't need to impress anyone." Later that night, Mira and I walked by the water. The city lights shimmered across the waves, and for once, the future didn't feel heavy. "So what's next?" she asked. I thought for a second. "Something simple. Something mine." She slipped her hand into mine. "You already have that." I laughed softly. "Yeah, guess I do." The tide rolled in, steady and unhurried, like time itself had forgiven me. And there, under the quiet hum of the sea, I realized the story wasn't about revenge or redemption. It was about release. Family, fame, failure. None of it mattered as much as finally belonging to my own truth. And in that calm, with the moon reflecting on the water, I knew I was free.